Welcome to the March and April 2024 edition of Veterans Life magazine. Publisher and creative director is James Daigle. Designer Linda M. Peters. Editor Annabelle Haggard. Contributors Matt Beeson, Alana Bethune, Nate Dion, Arlene Mewing, J.R. McKinley, Marshall Spring, and Kathleen Willard. Photographers are James Daigle and John Guzzi. Web is Liam Wood. You can contact us at P.O. Box 3073, Loveland, Colorado 80537, or by phone at 970-833-1469. You can email at info@veteranslifemagazine.com. Veterans Life magazine is published 6 times per year. The entire content of this publication is fully protected and may not be reproduced in whole or part without written consent from the publisher. Ideas and opinions expressed by contributors and advertisers are not necessarily those of the publishers, and the acceptance of advertising in no way implies an endorsement. Veterans Life magazine is not responsible for unsolicited material. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. Subscription price is $24 per year. Your subscription includes 6 issues delivered right to your door, as well as access to exclusive content on our website. For information on how to subscribe, please visit www.veteranslifemagazine.com. Writing opportunities and article ideas. We support freelance writers and photographers and are always looking for interesting stories to tell. Email your idea, story, or photography inquiry to james@veteranslifemagazine.com. How to advertise. If you are interested in advertising in Veterans Life magazine in support of the local veteran community, contact James Daigle at 970-833-1649 or at james@veteranslifemagazine.com. Director's Note. Welcome to the inaugural issue of Veterans Life. This magazine is more than a collection of images and stories. It is a tribute to a hero I called Dad. My father, a steadfast pillar of his Veterans of Foreign Wars post, dedicated his life to lifting others. From visiting and connecting with fellow veterans to guiding young minds as a Boy Scout leader, his unwavering commitment to service left an indelible mark on my heart. My father taught me the importance of community, selfless service, and gratefulness for those who gave so much for our country. Yet, amidst the countless memories we shared, one regret lingers. I never took a formal portrait of him as I've done for others in my professional photography career. So, Veterans Life is, in part, an homage to him, a way to continue his legacy of service and to bring to light the stories and photographs of those who, like him, have given so much. I hope that this magazine will not only serve as a celebration of their strength, a showcase of their bonds, and a testament to their enduring spirit for many years to come, but also to help create positive and lasting connections within the community. Thank you for joining us on this journey. James Daigle, Creative Director, Veterans Life magazine. Table of Contents. Features. Page 8, Winter Warriors, the 10th Mountain Division. Page 13, Voices Unveiled. Page 14, Their Letters. Page 17, Glory in Tin Cans. Page 18, Hope and Healing Through Horses. Page 24, Through Their Lens, Veterans with a Passion for Photography. Page 30, Rosie the Riveter Endures. Departments. Page 4, Salute to Service, Restoring Happiness, a Vietnam vet's journey from PTSD to joy. Photographer Spotlight. Page 11, Photos of P-51D aircrafts Staying Evil and Crusader. Page 22, A Point in Time, Vietnam, the Forgotten War. Page 27, Health and Finance, Are You Wasting Thousands of Dollars on Your Home Loan? And Rising Together, a call for veteran-led community initiatives to combat suicidality. Page 29, Portrait of a Veteran, George Norton a 30-year Navy career. Page 32. On the lighter side, Q&A with J.R. McKinley. From our Salute to Service section, Restoring Happiness, a Vietnam vet's journey from PTSD to joy. Story by Nate Dion, photos by James Daigle. In the center of a small mountain town west of Boulder, the joyous sounds of a carousel fill the air. Hand-carved wooden animals dance around the gigantic music box that sits behind the 120-year-old gears and motors. And at the center, if you visit on the right day, you'll find Scott Harrison, a Vietnam veteran and the man responsible for restoring this work of art. His story, woven through the traumas of war, a journey through PTSD, and the discovery of a surprising passion, embodies the remarkable resilience we all aspire to. As a young Marine serving in the dense jungles of Vietnam, he led a squad of machine gunners, earning a Purple Heart for his bravery. However, the cost was high. He lost two dear friends in combat, Christian Langenfeld and Paul Christmas, a burden he carried long after the war ended. We were in a sweep, an operation near the DMZ the day before the Tet Offensive, and our unit got wiped out. They were killed. I was wounded within minutes. The one thing that kept Scott going was a tiny music box mechanism that he would hold to his ear where no one else could hear it. As it played Chopin's Tristesse, which means sadness, Scott would imagine a happier place, a carousel in the middle of a mountain meadow. Returning home, Scott faced the challenges of PTSD and survivor's guilt. He wasn't angry at how he was treated, he just didn't want to be around anyone or anything. I was just in escape mode for years, Scott reflected on his return from Vietnam. So he built a sailboat and sailed the world for a while. After that, he settled down and started a family, eventually moving to Nederland in the early 1980s to escape the busy city life of San Francisco. But even then, he hadn't ever truly confronted his demons. The shop he had built in addition to his home became his place of solace. There, he had started by carving a rabbit out of firewood just to see if he could do it. So I just thought, well, I'd love to revive that vision of a carousel in a mountain meadow, and that would be a really cool thing to do. Finding the mechanism for an early 1900s wooden carousel for sale in Utah, Scott began to put his dream into action. In 1986, he brought the mechanical components of that carousel home, where he began carving the animals, a process that would last more than 25 years. But it wasn't until a younger veteran from the Iraq-Afghanistan wars needed to help that Scott began to confront his own issues. I would take him to the hospital, and after a while I thought, hey, this is doing good for me too. You know, hearing other people's stories and stuff like that. He continued to work through his issues both in therapy and in his shop, carving. The carousel was for his own enjoyment, but when he had finished, it was his community's turn to embrace his vision. When asked about how it came together, Scott said, I didn't plan for it, you know. It just happened. In 2010, the community of Nederland came together, donating $700,000 to build the carousel a home in the center of their community. But the carousel is not the only special thing in the building. It's also a memorial. On a wall near the carousel's exit hang 2 flags and 2 plaques with pictures of Scott's squad mates, a poignant reminder of the price our veterans have paid. And it has truly become a place for not only Scott to remember his friends, but also for the community to remember their loved ones. He shared another story of a family who would come to commemorate the loss of their stillborn child. He also shared a story of how a woman would come in and watch the carousel without ever riding on it, as an escape from her fight with stage 4 breast cancer. But at the center of this place is joy. The joy of children and adults, even those who are disabled, finding a moment to breathe and smile again. In his reflections, Scott expressed a humble desire to be remembered not for grand achievements, but for his kindness and compassion, because, quote, being creative means nothing if you're not a kind person. Scott's story is not just a narrative of overcoming PTSD or restoring an antique for future generations to enjoy. It's a testament to the power of finding joy and purpose in the aftermath of adversity. And the carousel, with its spinning lights and music, stands as a mirror of Scott's journey from sadness, tristesse, to happiness. Often the best way to heal your own wounds is to help others heal theirs. Next, Winter Warriors, the 10th Mountain Division, Colorado History Museum new exhibit, by Matt Benson, photos by John Guzzi. It's been nearly 80 years since an elite group of Colorado-trained soldiers with rugged mountaineering skills broke through Nazi lines, helping to turn the tide of battle. Now, thanks to a powerful collaboration between veterans' families and History Colorado, their story is being honored in a 21st century exhibit that's invaluable for all. History Colorado's powerful new exhibit, Winter Warriors, the 10th Mountain Division in World War II, displays never-before-seen photos, video, and first-hand personal accounts of the troops. This exhibit reveals the skills and bravery of the U.S. Army's 1st Winter Warfare Division from their training at Camp Hale in Colorado's Rocky Mountains through their crucial breakthrough against the Nazi German army in the mountains of Italy. Also celebrated is the Winter Warriors' post-war role in kickstarting Colorado's ski industry. Winter Warriors isn't just about combat in World War II. It's also a story of creativity, resilience, ingenuity, and the human condition, said Dr. Chris Juergens, head of curatorial services and Anschutz curator of military history at History Colorado. This exhibition puts a human face on the inhumanity of war and highlights the price of freedom that U.S. servicemen and women to be willing to pay on behalf of their fellow citizens. The birth of the 10th Mountain Division. Many European countries had elite fighting forces suited to rugged, cold terrain. If the United States were to defeat the significant number of enemy troops established in the Alps and unlock Allied victory in Europe, a mountain infantry division would have to be forged. Camp Hale, just north of Leadville, was the ideal place to train forces in mountaineering, skiing, and cold weather military tactics, as it offered snow-covered forests and gullies and altitudes starting at 9,000 feet. The 10th Mountain Division made a critical breakthrough in the Apennine Mountains of Italy, defeating Italy and Germany as a result of their mountaineering and winter warfare skills, and they continued to fight in Europe until May 1945. Although the unit had accomplished amazing offensive achievements throughout Italy, it was not without a heavy cost. 922 soldiers lost their lives, and over 4,000 were wounded. Their legacy of heroism and innovation continues to this day. About the exhibit. The 10th Mountain Division soldiers assembled in the Rocky Mountains became America's first troops trained specifically for mountain warfare. This is a chance for visitors to embark on a multi-sensory journey that explores the history of the 10th Mountain Division from its origins to its combat service in more detail than ever before seen in an exhibition. Even those familiar with the story of these famed winter warriors will be captivated by new details, photographs, and objects that bring this history to life, said Juergens. The exhibit pulls heavily from a comprehensive collection of artifacts largely donated by veterans of this highly specialized unit and is maintained by History Colorado and the Denver Public Library. Highlights from the exhibit include a fez hat taken from Italian dictator Benito Mussolini's Italian villa when the American troops occupied it in 1945, a rare Finnish anti-tank gun rigged with skis that demonstrates the ingenuity of the 10th Mountain Division and their determination to be successful in Europe, an exploration of the groundbreaking gear developed for and tested by the 10th Mountain Division, an M29 Weasel mechanized cargo carrier specially developed for the Army and designed to transport troops and cargo over rugged and snowy mountains, uniforms worn by soldiers in training and combat, as well as wooden skis and poles utilized by the soldiers. Black and white videos, letters, and stories which convey the intense, unconventional training that prepared recruits for combat and tell the story of life in the camp. The photographs featured in the exhibition were taken by the soldiers themselves and give us an intimate glimpse of their experiences, said Juergens. Overwhelmingly, we were able to find photographs taken at the exact times and in the exact places we explore in Winter Warriors. The 10th Mountain Division's legacy. When the veterans of the 10th came home, they had no desire to go back to their mundane jobs. Adventure coursed through their veins now. Many of the 10th veterans came back to the very rocky mountains they had trained in and set up ski resorts, most notably Vail, Aspen, Arapahoe Basin, and 62 others in Colorado and around the United States. Aside from the thrills of alpine carving that come from skiing downhill, the 10th Mountain has also left the legacy of hut adventures in Colorado. Whether camping in the summer or traversing through snow-covered terrain across country skis, 38 backcountry huts are connected by over 350 miles of paths and trails. Camp Hale is now a protected historical site featuring a tribute to the fallen soldiers, and there are talks of creating a museum in addition to the one in Vail, Colorado. The original 10th Mountain Division was shut down shortly after World War II. However, when the need for soldiers specialized in rugged terrain re-emerged in the 1980s, the 10th Mountain Division was reinstated. The current 10th Mountain Division, based in Fort Drum in New York, is the most active and deployed of all the units in modern wars on terror in Iraq and Afghanistan. During the winter months, they still come to Camp Hale to test their mettle and develop the crucial skills they need to be the elite force that they are today. Their time here is known as the Climb to Glory. The 10th Mountain Division was and still is a highly specialized and unique CAD of soldiers. How to see the exhibit at History Colorado. The History Colorado Center is located at 1200 Broadway in Denver and is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The museum partners with the Blue Star Museum's program to offer free general admission to active duty military personnel, including the National Guard and Reserves, and up to 5 members of their families all year long. More information and tickets go to historycolorado.org. Photographer Spotlight. Colorado-based U.S. Army Air Force P-51D Mustangs. Photos by John Guzzi. In the first photo, we see a P-51D flying through the air against the clouds with a silver body, silver wings, and a red nose. The P-51D was delivered to the U.S. Army Air Force in 1945 for $53,645. Although the aircraft was never in action during World War II, it served with the National Guard and was featured in the movies Battle Hymn with Rock Hudson and Wake Me When It's Over with Ernie Kovacs and Jack Warden. The Staying Evil is owned and piloted by Mark Bingham and can be seen in the skies over Rocky Mountain Metro Airport. The second photo, the Crusader, is another P-51D aircraft with a silver body and silver wings with a yellow nose and yellow paint on the tips of the wings as well as the tail fin. The Crusader is another locally owned P-51D aircraft piloted out of Centennial Airport by Joe Thibodeau. Joe is a regular at most airport fly-ins in northern Colorado, and both Joe and Mark, owner of Staying Evil, graciously perform flyovers at many veteran events. Next, page 13, Voices Unveiled. Sharing Stories of the Military Experience Creates Community, by Marshall Spring. In a powerful celebration of creativity, expression, and the military experience, the Military Connected Writing Workshop, formerly known as the Veterans Writing Workshop, opened its doors once again this fall to active service members, veterans, and military families, inviting them to share their narratives through creative writing. Ryan McGoldrick, a U.S. Army veteran and former graduate student facilitated the workshops hosted by the College of Liberal Arts and the Department of English at Colorado State University. Over the course of 8 weeks, participants were engaged in thought-provoking discussions, sharing their perspectives on a myriad of subjects and translating these conversations into powerful written pieces. The workshop serves as a safe, judgment-free space to share their stories and be heard, and to express their unique perspectives and experiences. Charlie Mike Literary Journal. The highlight of the workshop's success lies in the creation of the annual literary journal, Charlie Mike. The journal, compiled from the submissions of workshop participants, is a reflection of the rich tapestry of experiences within the military community. It serves not only as a testament to the power of storytelling, but also as a bridge between diverse narratives, offering a compelling collection of voices that encapsulate the triumphs, challenges, and resilience of those who have served. Featured work: Their Letters by Kathleen Willard. Among the writings in this year's Charlie Mike Journal is Kathleen Willard's poignant poem, Their Letters, a profound exploration of the connections between veterans and their families. The poem offers a glimpse into the complexities of military life. Given Veterans Life magazine's goal of supporting the family as well as the veteran, the publishers wanted to feature a poem that spoke to everyone in this first edition, presented on the next page. You can also find in upcoming publications more stories and poems from Charlie Mike. The journal stands as a testament to the power of storytelling, weaving together the tapestry of experiences that enrich our understanding of the military-connected community. Page 14. Their Letters by Kathleen Willard. He wrote to her from an obscure country in Asia. She wrote back of my frilly dress for Easter, of traveling up the Mekong in sampans, advisor to armies, and of sorrow and assassination, the empty saddle on the black horse, the entourage. The blue envelopes from APO San Francisco bringing assurances. She waited in Georgia drinking cocktails. That he was recently alive and thinking of their children. Among military wives marking time with rounds of bridge, other diversions. He tells of his first night in Saigon, a bomb exploding a fuel depot, the fire. And sometimes she described pillbox hats, the white gloves, flooding his quarters, an instant inferno. She wore to mass or are eating okra and peach pie at Morrison's cafeteria. Someone shouting the running city charring, while she watches their children practicing backstroke. He runs nude into the dark streets, seconds in front of the flames. And can their daughter and 2 sons take horseback riding lessons? Could they afford it? Yes, purchase the Jodhpurs. Thank you for Dad's brag book, mentioning geography she cannot imagine. He marches deeper into the jungle, up the Mekong, training citizens to be soldiers, jots down troop movements in a small notepad, and she waits much too long for his next letter. Dearest Jim, this week I took the children to the Chattahoochee County Fair. We walked the midway in the evening, eating cotton candy. Your daughter is much too eager to see the freaks on display inside the canvas tents. This week there were cakewalks of Halloween parties. This week our children dressed in riding clothes, cantering and clinging to their ponies. This week a school bomb drill and math homework. This he is reading while he salts leeches that cling to his calves, killing them, and dries his boots soaked by swamp water. This he is reading before sleep as the monsoon begins its weeping, the frog croaking amplifies. This he is reading as he puts on his flak jacket, blackens his face. This he is reading after he cleans his rifle, visits the priest, posts another letter. Love to you and the children, Jim. Next, on page 17, Glory in Tin Cans. Everyone helped with the World War II effort. Story by Arlene Mewing. Half Pint, her daddy called her. this little girl with scrawny legs who was scurrying around the prairie farm in South Dakota. What occupied her 6-year-old mind was finding tin cans. Her older sister told her about a poster in the little town's post office encouraging citizens to collect cans for the war. The soldiers needed them, quote, over there, or across, as people referred to these far-off places that didn't really have any other name. This 6-year-old was well aware of her uncles who were fighting and they needed bullets, although she couldn't understand how a tin can would fit into a gun. She would often get lost in thought, staring at her father's shotguns, and couldn't imagine how it all worked out. Maybe the can would blow apart like when someone puts a firecracker under it, and that's what killed people. After collecting and cleaning their supposed ammunition, her older sister would open both ends of the empty can and then step on it to squash it flat for the trip to the gathering place in town. There was no bothering a 6-year-old as to where the cans went after that. After all, her important job was to find the cans, never mind the details. There weren't many cans at her house because her mother had a victory garden, and she preserved the vegetables in jars. She liked hearing her mother say, "Eat what you can, and can what you can't." The little girl loved this phrase and chanted it over and over until the mother cried, "Enough!" Sometimes at night, she worried that maybe over there might become over here, and then where would she hide? Would her dog and cats be safe? She asked her mother one day, "Will the Germans come get us?" Her mother said, "That's why we do our part to help the soldiers." That made this 6-year-old feel proud and spurred her on in her conquest of cans in this quiet act of service. Next, page 18, Hope and Healing Through Horses. Animal-human connection promotes a journey of healing. By Leila Einhorn. Photos by James Daigle. Nestled in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, Hearts and Horses Therapeutic Riding Center is a nonprofit organization dedicated to enhancing physical, cognitive, and emotional well-being through equine partnerships. Established in 1997, the center offers a variety of equine-assisted services, including therapeutic riding, occupational and physical therapy, equine-assisted learning, and more to veterans, along with children and adults with physical and cognitive impairments, at-risk youth, and individuals with Alzheimer's. All Hearts and Horses instructors are rigorously trained and certified by PATH International. The center is also a PATH International Premier Accredited Center, the highest level of accreditation possible, and is a highly regarded training facility for therapeutic riding instructors. The Hearts and Horses for Heroes program first began in 2008 with a grant from the VA. The program's mission is to create a community where veterans of every era can heal and grow by restoring the wisdom of their mind, body, and spirit through their interactions with horses, each other, and the natural world. Since its inception, Hearts and Horses for Heroes has given countless service members throughout northern Colorado a new lease on life. The program is completely free of charge for veterans, with 100% of the costs underwritten through generous community support. The program combines classical horsemanship with equine-assisted learning to promote a holistic journey into post-traumatic recovery. By moving veterans systematically through an innovative curriculum, participants deepen their awareness of personal issues that may inhibit their ability to reach their full potential. In learning how to direct a 1,000-pound creature with mental focus, creative visualization, and clarity of intent, veterans discover a tremendous boost in self-esteem, confidence, and their ability to establish healthy boundaries. These skills have far-ranging applications. Many Hearts and Horses for Heroes participants reported better relationships, decreased PTSD symptoms, improved success in careers and parenting, and more after their work in the program. When Scott Hayes returned from 9.5 years of active duty as a Navy hospital corpsman, his inner world was one that he no longer recognized. He struggled to leave the house, worried that people might judge him for what he did in the line of duty. Like many veterans, Hayes retreated into himself, going into what he calls a, quote, darker and darker place. In 2013, his Veterans Administrator recommended that he try equine-assisted services. After having less than stellar experiences with horses as a child, Hayes wasn't convinced that these majestic yet formidable creatures could offer him the kind of recovery that he so desperately longed for. Nevertheless, he sought out the Hearts and Horses for Heroes program in Loveland, Colorado. With the help of a horse aptly named Hope, Hayes found community, reclaimed his strength, and discovered a new purpose in life. I started realizing that I was capable of more, he says. I started getting my confidence back. I wanted to be able to help others have that feeling. Lindsay Heistis, the Hearts and Horses Veteran Services Coordinator, plays a vital role in developing and implementing the Hearts and Horses for Heroes curriculum. As a Path International certified therapeutic riding instructor herself, she witnesses the profound interactions between participants and horses daily. Our horses are so good at meeting veterans where they are, Heistis says. I have seen participants come in very frustrated from events in their lives or that happened that week, and the moment they walk into their horse's paddock to catch them, they are able to take a breath and let all of that go. Horses can't lie, and the honesty that they show week to week causes our riders to be able to pause and reflect on what could be going on with them that may be translating to their horse. The bond they develop with their horse is so special, and I have heard time and time again how impactful horses are to our participants' growth and healing. 10 years after Reese first starting with equine-assisted services, Hayes still rides at Hearts and Horses Therapeutic Riding Center. He now also serves as one of the center's volunteers, dedicating his time to passing on the same healing that he found at Hearts and Horses to others, and he hopes to become a certified equine specialist in mental and learning from the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship International. I can't begin to express my gratitude, he says, for what Hearts and Horses has done to help me in my healing process. Hearts and Horses has recently expanded their veterans programming through a partnership with the Cheyenne VA healthcare system on an equine-assisted services for chronic pain pilot program. This program pairs veterans with a mental health professional, an equine specialist, and horses for a 6-week ground-based curriculum. The program's vision is to help participants reconnect with their bodies. By learning to work alongside the horse, rather than trying to control it, participants discover that there are ways to work with their pain instead of expending energy fighting against it. Participants in 2023's pilot program reported improved outcomes in physical, mental, and emotional well-being. As with Hearts and Horses for Heroes program, the equine-assisted services for chronic pain pilot is provided completely free of charge. Lately, Scott Hayes has been working with a new member of the Hearts and Horses herd, a Canadian sport horse named Benny. Like Hayes, Benny came to the center apprehensive and anxious. His first-class assignment was riding with Hayes in the Hearts and Horses for Heroes program. Over time, the human-horse pair have developed an indelible bond, with Hayes learning how he can best support his equine partner, and Benny discovering ways to ground Hayes in turn. Through their relationship, Benny is finally finding his stride, both as an individual and within the herd. For veterans like Hayes, Hearts and Horses for Heroes is truly a lifeline. When I left my herd in the military, he says, I became a lone horse that was just kind of stuck out in a pasture somewhere. And like the horse, the longer we are isolated, the more we are going to act out. The veterans programming at Hearts and Horses is about more than just horsemanship. It's about the power of connection, community, and healing that veterans can gain from working alongside each other and these majestic animals. Thanks to its innovative curriculum and an outpouring of community support, participants are able to rediscover a sense of joy and freedom that they may have thought was lost forever. For those who have given so much to our country, it is a chance for their community to at last give something back to them. Our next section, starting on page 22, A Point in Time. Vietnam, the Forgotten War. Time to remember Vietnam veterans. story by Matt Beeson. Most people tend to associate the Forgotten War with the Korean War, 1950 to 1953. Too close to World War II and not the cultural and political revolution that was the Vietnam War. But Vietnam is a forgotten war as well, for all the wrong reasons. Vietnam is more of a willful neglect. It is almost as if the social consciousness of America chose to intentionally forget the tragedy that unfolded in the steamy jungles of Southeast Asia. Russians and rubber, 1960s Americans could wrap their heads around going to war in Vietnam to stop the spread of communism, which seemed a stark contrast to the American freedoms enjoyed under capitalism. But there was also another reason: rubber. The rapidly industrialized world needed more and more rubber, found only in a handful of areas around the world. The French had monopolized it and exploited its colonies in Indochina. That the French had a monopoly on rubber was viewed as a positive thing. After all, where would the world be without Michelin tires and the Tour de France bicycles? But the French were nearsighted after World War II and thought colonialism could last in a post-empirical world. After the disastrous defeat of the French by Ho Chi Minh at Dien Bien Phu, the United States is forced to become increasingly involved. This is where the willful amnesia begins. Most Americans want to blame the Vietnam War's failures on whichever political party they oppose. Republicans loathe Johnson with his expansion of social programs and ramping up the Vietnam War. Then the Democrats want to blame Nixon and the failures of expanding into Cambodia and the disaster of the fall of Saigon. But it is JFK who actually gets the U.S. involved in Vietnam. We tend to forget this sticky historical point. Kennedy, gilded by assassination, often escapes the clear blame of our involvement. Kennedy is the one who first sends in military advisors and attempts the failed program of strategic hamlets. Americans do themselves a disservice when they forget about the Vietnam War. They forget about the lives and sacrifices of the 58,700 KIA who paid the ultimate price for our freedoms. But America is learning. What was once hidden is now clear. With the help of the Vietnam War Veterans Recognition Act of 2017, progress is being made. The act declares March 29th, traditionally a day in which many Vietnam veterans returned home, as Vietnam Veterans Day, and that all federal buildings are required to display the American flag in full prominence. This is but a small token given to the forgotten veterans that fought in Vietnam. The most important thing we can all do on March 29th is to stop and take a moment to thank a veteran from any war for their service. These small words of gratitude can create a large impact on those who have served for our freedoms and rights. Next, on page 24, Through Their Lens, Veterans with a Passion for Photography. The Colorado Photographic Arts Center in Denver recently featured a collection of fine art photography created by 10 Colorado artists who have served in the U.S. military. The unique exhibition was the culmination of the Veterans Workshop Series, a 6-month program of advanced photography courses that is provided to veterans free of charge. The work of 3 artists, Jason Alfaro, Chris Marrow, and Sherry Sutton, caught the eye of Veterans Life magazine's creative director, James Daigle. The first photo, An Affectionate Saddle, by Jason Alfaro, U.S. Navy, Aviation Boatswain Mate, ABH, 2017 to 2022. In the series titled Santos, Jason embarks on a personal journey with his friend Santos, a veteran Marine, to create a visual narrative that celebrates healing, resilience, and the profound connections that can emerge from the unlikeliest of places. This photo is of a man with a tattoo wearing a white cowboy hat, and he has his hand on top of the horse's head with his eyes closed. The brown horse has a halter on. You can see the white stripe down his nose, and he is looking out as he stands next to the man. The man is wearing a checkered blue button-down shirt. Next, Withstanding by Chris Morrow, U.S. Army, Medic, 1996 to 2003. In the series, Rooted in Resilience, Portraits of Lone Trees, Chris sees the lone tree as a symbol of the loneliness and isolation veterans often feel once they return to civilian life. Veterans can be surrounded by friends and family, yet still feel like they don't belong. The lone tree also serves as a symbol of our human connectedness, much like the roots of the trees that run deep and create intricate webs of connection below ground. The photo is an upward looking at a tree without leaves, with a white background, and the tree is shown in gray. The Veterans Workshop series at the Colorado Photographic Art Center is a free 6-month program that provides veterans in Colorado with instruction and resources for developing a professional photography practice. Launched in collaboration with local veteran-led organizations in 2017, the program has graduated 60 veterans, helping them express their ideas, connect with other veterans and Denver's broader arts community, and exhibit, publish, and sell their photographs at a professional level. Through workshops, mentoring, and critique events, veterans create a series of photographs that tell a personal story. The program culminates with a public exhibit at CPAC and a published exhibition catalog. The third and final submission is Motherhood by Sherry Sutton, U.S. Army Medium Helicopter Repairer, 1992 to 1994. For Sherry, initially, Fleeting Beauty was a project about exploring aging and her thoughts about it. In the end, she came to realize that it was much more. She was processing her grief over the death of a dear friend. Her feelings about all of the pieces in the collection continued to evolve into an even more personal and of-the-moment process. In the photo, a woman is looking to the right while facing forward with a smirked smile on the right side of her mouth. She's wearing a floral shirt and has flowers behind her and above her head as well. Next, on page 27, Health and Finance. Are you wasting thousands of dollars on your home loan? Undereducated real estate professionals and misguided assumptions have resulted in only 10 to 15% of veterans using their VA home loan benefit. Story by Elena Bethune. That's right, veterans are unknowingly paying thousands of dollars more over the life of their loans in mortgage insurance and higher interest rates. The savings a veteran can experience with a VA home loan are staggering, not to mention the ability to put zero down on a home. So why don't more veterans take advantage of VA home loans? Well, many believe they are ineligible, others are not informed, and misinformation is being spread by uneducated real estate professionals. As the president of the Veterans Associates of Real Estate Professionals of Northern Colorado, I am here to set the record straight. Here you'll find a few important facts every veteran and real estate professional should know about the VA home loan. To ensure that veterans are well informed about the financial costs and the full breadth of lending options, legislation was recently passed requiring lenders to provide a disclosure showing side-by-side comparisons between the three main types of home loans: conventional, FHA or Federal Housing Association, and VA. Armed with all of the facts, veterans can now make a fully informed decision that best suits their needs. Whether you are thinking of buying a home or you've tucked the dream away because you don't have the down payment, take the next step and find out if you're eligible by contacting a military and veteran housing certified realtor or lender. Ask questions and learn the difference between loan products so you can take advantage of the benefits you deserve. Some important facts. Good for more than one use. Use it multiple times and not just on a first purchase. Lower closing costs. Closing costs are lower than a traditional FHA loan. No mortgage insurance fee. Save each month as no mortgage insurance is required. 0% down payment. Bring just closing costs to the table for most homes. No prepayment penalties. Sell your house or pay it off entirely with no penalty. Disability benefits. Certain fees can be waived for most service-connected disability ratings. No income limits. There are no minimum or maximum income eligibility requirements. No minimum credit score. Your lender may have requirements, but the VA does not. Safe, sound, and sanitary. All homes are measured against these 3 standards. VA home loans are available to active military, service members, veterans, and surviving spouses. For more information, go to www.benefits.va.gov/home loans. Next, on page 28, Rising Together, a call for veteran-led community initiatives to combat suicidality, by Marshall Spring. Unknown to many Americans, 22 veterans take their lives every day. Since 9/11, at least 140,000 veterans have died by suicide, which is a staggering number when compared to the 6,000 veterans who were killed in action during the same period. The veteran suicide statistics are chilling because there are 3.7 suicide deaths to every combat death. Yet, this crisis remains largely unknown to the civilian population. Despite the magnitude of the problem, traditional channels such as the Department of Veteran Affairs have fallen short in providing adequate solutions. With a substantial budget of $382.38 billion for 2023, the VA treats only about 1/3 of the veteran population, leaving a significant portion without the support they desperately need. It is evident that the VA, while crucial, cannot be the sole answer to this crisis. A deeper understanding of the issue reveals that the root causes of veteran suicidality often revolve around acute depression and a profound sense of purposelessness and a lack of belonging. Veterans return to civilian life seeking purpose and community understanding, yet many find themselves isolated and disconnected. Addressing the fundamental issues of purpose and belonging requires a collective effort grounded in empathy and shared experiences. Veterans, with their unique perspective, are best positioned to provide the support necessary to combat suicidality effectively. The power of community-driven initiatives by veterans in combating veteran suicidality cannot be overstated. By leveraging their experiences, veterans create safe spaces where fellow veterans can openly discuss their struggles, find purpose, and rediscover the sense of belonging they crave. Veteran-led peer mentoring programs, group therapy sessions, or recreational activities promote bonding and create an opportunity for veterans to connect, share, and heal, a holistic approach beyond conventional mental health treatments. Creating a sense of purpose involves engaging veterans in meaningful activities that leverage their skills and experiences and give back to the community through volunteer work, mentoring programs, or advocacy efforts, leading to improved mental well-being and a stronger sense of belonging. It is time for veterans to rise together, offering a beacon of light to those in darkness and improving that the bonds forged in service can conquer even the deepest despair. Let no one fight alone. Northern Colorado is home to many organizations that support veterans in a variety of ways. Combat Recovery Foundation, Hearts and Horses, Health for Heroes, Adaptive Adventures, War Eagle Garage, Stillwater Ranch, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Outdoor Buddies, Platte River Veteran Fly Fishing, Warriors on the Cataract. For additional information about these and other organizations, go to www.veteranslifemagazine.com. Next, on page 30, Rosie the Riveter Endures, by J.R. McKinley. I didn't start out to become Rosie, it just evolved over the years. I went to work for a local pilot who, annually, brought in the Collings Foundation World War II Flying Museum, aptly named the Wings of Freedom Tour, which consisted of a B-17, B-24, and B-25 heavy bombers, and a P-51, affectionately nicknamed by the World War II bomber crews as their little friend. Upwards of 20,000 visitors would stand in the hot July sun to tour these impressive aviation marvels, and listened to the unmistakable rumble of the radial engines. When I first started at the event, before Rosie was even a glint in my eyes, there would be somewhere around 50 or so World War II veterans that would come out. At first, it was just me in a red and white polka dot scarf. Later came the red lipstick and nail polish. Later still, I found a set of overalls, and just like that, Rosie was born. March 21st is officially Rosie the Riveter Day. She was more than just an iconic poster. Rosie was the name given to any woman who worked a man's job during the war. 6 million women stepped up to support the war effort. Everyone knows about her work in the airplane factories and shipyards, but many women worked the farms plowing the fields, planting and cultivating, driving tractors, and milking cows, leading President Roosevelt to recognize the importance women played in agriculture, stating that food was the lifeline of the forces that fight for freedom. The red polka dot bandana was actually part of the government-issued uniform for the women ordnance workers. It was given out of victory dances to those that signed up to support the war effort. The famous poster of Rosie flexing her arm and proudly stating, "We can do it," came from a poster created for Westinghouse Company that was hanging in their factory for only 2 weeks. In the 1980s, it resurfaced as the symbol of the women's liberation movement, making it the focal point of their cause. I can't tell you when my love for veterans began, but it was sometime during those 20-plus years. I just know that veterans, especially from World War II, hold a special place in my heart. Maybe it's because there are so few of the greatest generation left, or maybe I'm just an old softy, as many of them will attest to. There are innumerable photos of veterans receiving a kiss on the cheek from Rosie through the years. Each one has a smile from ear to ear. And Rosie, she loves every moment of it. You will often see Rosie around town, at special events, parades, running air shows at the airport, or just about anywhere you find a gathering of veterans. Be sure to come say hi and let her give you one of her famous kisses. Page 32, On the Lighter Side. Q&A with J.R. McKinley. J.R. sat down with Mary Lou Batman, Yeoman 3rd Class, Navy Women's Reserves, to ask her a few questions about her service during World War II. Question: when did you decide you wanted to serve? Answer: it was the day Pearl Harbor was bombed. My family had gathered at my grandparents' house, and we were all listening to the radio when the news broke. My cousin, Little Junior, who was home on leave from the Navy, immediately called in to see when he should return. Right then, I knew that I wanted to do what I could to contribute. Unfortunately, my father insisted I wait until I was 20, but as soon as I enlisted in WAVES, which was the Women's Reserves, a branch of the Naval Reserve. Question: where were you stationed, and what did you do in WAVES, which stands for Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service? Answer: my first assignment was working at the Naval Station in Corpus Christi, Texas, in the radar tower, doing bookkeeping and secretarial duties. As the war was ending, they transferred me to the discharge center, where I worked with naval personnel assisting in completing all the paperwork for their discharges. Question: what was the best part about serving in the Women's Reserve? Answer: first and foremost, it was meeting the love of my life, Frank Arthur, or Art, Batman. Art worked at the radar tower as well, after serving in the Pacific Theater for 4 years teaching the radar system. Art received his discharge before I did, but stayed with a family in Corpus Christi until I received my discharge in March 1946. We then traveled to Colorado to start our lives, and I have lived here ever since. While in the Navy, I met some incredible people who became good friends. Over the years, we visited so many. In all, I've been to 48 of the 50 states. Question: besides serving in WAVES during World War II and raising your family afterward, what else has kept you busy all these years? Answer: I've been lucky to live in Pierce for most of my life and to be so involved in the community. For 35 years, I worked as a volunteer at the Pierce Senior Center, where I held most of the offices. I've volunteered during the same time for 4-H, Boy Scouts, hospice, RSVP, the Area Agency on Aging, local schools, United Methodist Women, and the Pierce Methodist Church, where I've been a member for 78 years. I enjoy visiting, having company, reading, the mountains, fishing when possible, and all of my family and friends. I feel very loved and blessed, happy to be an American because of the freedom it gives everyone, and would never think of being anything but a proud American. I feel very blessed to be here. Thank you for listening to this first edition of Veterans Life magazine. My name is Bryce Johnston.